Hi there. Welcome to this meeting. Let me move this computer screen so you don't see it. Um, I have this issue with my house. I have all windows, so I don't really have that many backgrounds to do these kinds of things. So, um, anyway, um, welcome to this meeting. And the way I typically start my meetings is that we start by checking into our body and seeing and checking into how we're feeling. So let's just start with a little practice to ground ourselves because when we do this really, really deep work, it's really important to find tools to regulate our nervous system as we do this work because uh, it is so scary for our system essentially to feel things that we've buried our entire life. So we really need tools to keep ourselves regulated as we do the work. And then as we do the work, actually our system ends up being more regulated as we do this work naturally. It's the emotional repression tools that we use is actually the most effective way to regulate our nervous system. So start by just closing your eyes. And this is a really easy tool that I recommend people. There's a lot going on the planet right now. There's a lot of anxiety. So here's a real simple practice to stay grounded. And that is inhale for 4 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then hold for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then again, inhale for 4. Hold for 5. Exhale for 8. Inhale for 4. Hold for 5. Exhale for 8. And one last time. Inhale for 4. Hold for 5. Exhale for 8. And you're probably wondering what that sound is. That sound is actually, it's called ujjayi breath. It's a yogic breath. And you make the sound at the back of your throat when you inhale and exhale. And it helps us kind of hear our breath because sometimes our breath is uneven. It might be like, and it helps us regulate our nervous system even more by hearing the sound of our breath. So you can even try that too. So the next thing I want to ask you to do is to check into your body and just notice how you're feeling and name it. I'm feeling peaceful. I'm feeling peaceful. I'm feeling peaceful. And we repeat it. And this brings the mind-body connection online. And this is how this modality works. And it helps bring us in the here and now by connecting the mind with the body. Or I'm anxious. I'm anxious. I'm anxious. Whatever it is, repeat that. And this tool is called mind-body mirroring. And I encourage people to do that throughout the day. When you're at a stoplight, at a stop sign, or in the grocery store at the checkout, Check into your body and see how you're feeling and repeat it in your head or aloud, even more ideally. So do that. That's a foundational practice to do every day. And then, of course, I mentioned to everyone to have a journal where you write down all your discoveries in it, like your discoveries of what we're going to do here. There are three main tools that we use for discovery to find our programs or whatever kind of need that we're not getting met in life that we want. There's a lot of discoveries we can have, and we write those in our journal. So the three main tools we use are mining, boomerang, and then shadow work. And last week we did shadow work inquiry for our discovery. So, and I think the meeting before that we did the boomerang, and we're going to do a short mining one today. So I wanted to talk about how to discover what your dominant repression is. Now, most of us either primarily repress either anger or sadness and hurt, and we all repress fear. Now, how to tell whether you're more of an anger repressor or more of an hurt, sadness repressor? I want you to think back into your childhood when you were a little kid and think about how you interacted with your caregivers, your teachers, etc. And think about whether it was more comfortable for you to be loud, expressive, to have boundaries, and essentially to express anger. Or was it easier for you to be more vulnerable and be sad in front of your caregivers? And think about that for a minute. So, were you able to, if you got hurt at school, come home and tell your mom or dad or whomever, hey, I had a really tough day, and or if you got hurt, you were able to cry in front of your caregivers, or did you feel that was unsafe? And alternatively, when you had to express something, when you had a voice, did you feel like it was safe to express an opinion, for instance, that would maybe go against what everyone else was believing? So think about that for a minute. And likely, the one that felt unsafe for you to express or to feel as a child is your dominant repression. So just anecdotally, that's one way to discover it. I know some people say, well, as a child, I was able to express sadness, but now in my relationship as an adult, I can't do that. It feels very unsafe for me. So sometimes our repressions will change depending on our situation. And sometimes we repress both equally. So that is possible as well. This isn't like a black and white kind of thing. So it's often layered, like for instance, we might be able to feel anger pretty easily, but have difficulty in expressing it. So that's another thing to think about. Like when you were a child, was it safe to feel sadness and vulnerability? Number one. Number two, was it safe to express vulnerability and sadness? And then number three, was it safe to feel anger? And number four, was it safe to express the anger? So for me, I grew up in a very large Irish Catholic family, and there was a lot of fighting. So anger was readily accepted in our family. However, if we were vulnerable or expressed a weakness, we would become a target. So for me, I'm more of a sadness hurt repressor as a result. So, and then we're going to go over the greatest hits. So what we discover in this modality is that our what keeps us safe from feeling our buried emotions. Essentially, what keeps us safe is our ideas or notions or attachments cognitively out in the world, like whatever idea I'm really attached to, that's keeping me safe from my buried emotions. Also, behaviors or compulsions, addictions, those are keeping us safe from our buried emotions. And as we acknowledge and process our buried emotions that were unsafe for us to feel and express as children, these attachment to ideas and these behaviors, these compulsions, and trauma responses, which I went over last week, they start to dissolve and transmute because they are keeping us safe from feeling our buried emotions. And that's why this work is so powerful, because all that suffering that is created from trying to keep us safe from feeling our buried emotions starts to dissolve. And that's why this path is the path to freedom. And essentially, all that suffering and attachment to ideas and the behaviors, attachment to behaviors, which we're going to go greatest hits, that's basically our ego and that's our identity. And so a lot of modalities basically go into identity, and we explore identity endlessly in other modalities. And that's useful information, but it also reinforces our ego and our identity. For instance, in talk therapy, we might go over our story over and over again. And that can actually create a lot of suffering to go over the trauma again and again. And actually, it actually